Hey guys, and welcome back. It's been a little while since I have made a video and I'm super sorry. A few things have happened in the past month and a half that really have not been ideal. First of all, I had COVID. I was quite run down for a couple of weeks. I only got my voice back a couple of weeks ago really and stopped coughing. The second thing that happened was my dad then caught COVID, ended up in hospital for 10 days, and then last week my cousin, who was only 27, sadly suddenly passed away. So it's just been quite a hard time for the past month or so. Thank you to everyone who has been asking me where I've been and everyone who's took the time out to see if I'm okay. I am grand. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about the differences in the DC5 and the DC2. Now, as you guys know, we have both of these cars, so I do have a good bit of experience with the two cars, what they drive like, and I do have some knowledge on the differences in both cars. It's going to be a very controversial video. Let me know in the comments below what you lot think. Let me know which one you think is a better car. There is just so much to say about both of these cars and I love both of them, and this may help some of you lot who are planning to buy either a DC2 or DC5. We all know they are ever growing in money. They are just making money sitting there all the time. We'll start in the interior of the DC2. It's so freaking cold outside. So the DC2 is just all round nostalgia. I absolutely love it. It takes me back to my days when I was 17 and 18 and just driving about in my little Civic. I know it's not the same, but it gives me that sort of vibe. Just old school Honda, and you can't really beat it. Now, I've had so many Hondas in my time. I've had EP3s, I've had EK Civics, I've got an S2000 at the minute, we've got this, we've got DC5, and we've got a turboed EP3 in the garage at the minute as well. And it's nothing to do with how quick the car can go or anything like that. There's just something about these older Hondas, the EK Civic, the EGs, the DC2, just everything this era. All it is you and the car, and that's all there is to these cars. They're like little go-karts. They're just so fun to be in. Everything is so tinny. The engine has the little whine to it. Everything's so boxy, and I just absolutely love that. So this is a 1996 DC2 Honda Integra. A lot of you will agree with me in this, that the Jap spec is so much better than the UK spec. Now, there is a lot to be said. A lot of people like the 98 spec Integra. So the DC2 is quite plain and simple in the inside. And again, it's that boxy feel I was talking about. So quickly just jumped into the DC5. Now, as you will see from just behind me, the DC5 is much more spacious, has much more room, and it's kind of like the DC2's younger, cooler brother. I think that is the first thing that you will notice about any DC5. It's just so much more chunkier than the DC2. So this is a 2003 DC5 Honda Integra. So the DC5 standard comes with a 2-litre K20A, and like the DC2, they come with an LSD gearbox. The first noticeable thing you will find when you drive the DC5 and the DC2 is that the DC5 is 6-speed and the DC2 is 5-speed. Doesn't make a hell of a difference when you're driving the car, but it does add to the power of the car. So the DC5 will go for ages. You know, when you're at top speed, you are still going to keep finding more and more power. Even when you get up to the top speed at the 6th gear, the DC5 will find much more power than the DC2 will. The DC5 standard is 217 brake horsepower, whereas the DC2 comes at 187. So it is a huge difference anyway, and the 6th gear just gives it that bit more extra oomph as well. But that being said, I find that the DC2 would make a better track car than the DC5. The reason the DC2 would make a better track car than the DC5 all comes down to weight. The DC2 weighs nothing. You can make it so light, you can take out stuff that you can't take out in the DC5. The DC5 is a heavier car anyway. Now our DC5 has a lot of modifications done to the engine, and we've had it dynoed and it is coming out at about 247. So we have made it a bit quicker, so we can't really have a valid test against the DC2 we have, as it isn't as quick as the DC5. So a fun fact about the DC5 and the DC2, they both came limited to 112 miles per hour. Now both of these cars have had the limiter removed, but that is what they come at. They are only limited to 112. So both the DC5 and DC2 come in two different interiors, so you can get a black interior or a red interior in both of these cars. We have got both interiors in the black. I do prefer the black most of the time. I've had red Recaros in previous cars, but not Type R's. So I have had previous ones in some EK Civics, and I've always preferred the look of the black ones in the car, and I just think the black is much more classic and much more subtle. I know a lot of people will argue with that and like the fact that you can get these in red, and a lot of people do like that. It's all down to personal preference, but I love the black interiors in these cars. I do love the DC5 red Recaros that you get. They are such nice seats. So both of these cars have had Hondadas added to them, so they are both running completely different than what they would standard. Again, I can't really test it too well because they aren't standard. So some things to note if you are in the process of deciding whether or not you want to buy a DC2 or DC5 is the price and the value. Now DC5s are a bit more common at the minute than the DC2. Of course, that's always going to be the way with the DC2 being an older car, but that means that the value in the cars are jumping way up. Everything old is jumping up, as we know. The Japanese market has gone crazy, as we all know, but you can get a DC5 probably anywhere in between, I would say 10 grand to maybe 15, maybe a bit more, depending on what the spec is of the DC5, depending on mileage, depending on rust, depending on condition of the actual paintwork itself. All those things are taken into consideration, but I would say that is what you're looking to spend for a DC5. But if you're going towards the DC2, you've been very hard pushed to find a DC2 under 12 grand. I have seen some in the past few months shooting away up to £18,000. That is just absolutely insane. If that's what it is now, these cars are going to be a way up again in the summer, and if you're going to buy something, buy it now in the winter while the prices are low. So if you're like me, you will understand what I mean by the B series just having that real nice cold start, that feel of nostalgia that we all love. The B series cold start is completely different than the cold start on the DC5. Now I can't show you a real cold start because the cars have been out. I brought them out for this video, but I will go and give them a start. Another factor to think about if you are looking for one of these cars is if you are going to just park it in the garage, if you want it as a car you can drive, what are you going to do with this car? The DC2 isn't as usable as the DC5 would be. Again, the DC5 is modern, it's more up to date, it's got the stuff you need, there's a bit more room in the DC5, and it is a bit more usable for everyday use. The DC2 to me is a weekend car. I wouldn't be taking it out of the garage to use as a daily, whereas the DC5, we have used it as a daily in the past. We dailied it for a long time. I drove it to work for a while. These are much more of a grown-up Honda. So everything in the DC5 compared to the DC2 has just been made bigger. In my opinion, everything is bigger. The nose is bigger, the dash is more sunk into the windows are bigger, the steering wheel is, you know, right in your face. And I feel like the best way to describe the DC5 to anyone who hasn't had the experience of driving a DC5 is the mixture of driving an EP3 and a DC2 together. It has just been sort of combined. For me, the DC5 out of these two cars is the funner car, but that is probably because of the modifications that we've done to this. Now I do have an S2000 as well, and it is a completely different car altogether. A rear wheel drive VTEC is definitely not for the faint-hearted. So the interior in the DC5 is much more spacious than the DC2, but again there's not much room in here either, in a sense. The thing I love most about the interior in the DC5 is that everything is sort of facing you this way. It's all coming out of the dash and facing the driver. Everything is made for the convenience of the driver, but again it's a really simple design, the same as the DC2 is, but it is much more towards the driver, much more in reach and much more stylish and modern than the DC2 was. Let me know which one you would pick if you had the choice and if you had the money. Again, most of the time it is down to money. Like I said, I still don't know which one I would pick if I had to pick. I love that the DC5 is such a fun car. I love that it's modern, comfortable, usable. But then when you step into the DC2, it just brings back all those feelings of when I was like 17, 18. It wasn't that long ago. You do feel like you are in something special. You do feel like you're in something that, you know, is never going to be made again. There's never going to be anything like the DC2 built ever again. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've all had a lovely Christmas, and I hope you all have a great new year going into 2022. It's crazy, it feels like it's still 2020. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and by the way, this will be the next video. So many people have been asking me about the turboed EP3, and I've just sort of pushed it in here out of the road. I'll give you a lot of sneak peek. So yes, this will be my next video. So many of you cannot wait to see this car. So make sure you subscribe to see this one. It is going to be a good one.